Peace. What's good? How y'all doing? This is ZaZa Ali. Today is Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. I pray that this message reaches you all in the best of health, spirit, and mind. I am well. This is going to be video one of a video series that I'm going to be putting out over the next week to promote the women's group that I've been telling you guys about that I'm officially launching now. I had an original launch date of about a month ago, but I had a funeral to attend back at home, and then my son came back here with me and stayed for some time. So just kind of set my schedule back. So this particular video, as well as this video series, are going to be to promote that group, the sovereignty of self, how to thrive in times of uncertainty. This is a group for women, or not a group. Well, yeah, a group, but a course that is specifically designed for women, who are aware of kind of the bigger agenda that's happening in the world right now, just at least in terms of spiritual warfare and kind of looking out in the world and not seeing what's reflected back to us, right? So, having conversations and creating content that is based around being in this world but not of it. So that's what the whole group is about, but that's what this conversation today in particular is going to be about. And these next few videos will have different topics that we're going to talk about, but that will all be moving us towards that agenda. Real quick, just a reminder, I do one-on-one consultations. So if you're interested in working with me, or if you have a situation that you can't really seem to work through, or you want to get some sound outside advice from the outside looking in, that's always an option. I also work with clients privately. I have a 90-day course called The Science of Self. And then this series that I'm launching now, or this course that I'm launching now, specifically for women, based around how to thrive in times of uncertainty. So if you're interested in working with me or in speaking with me directly, email me at info@zazaali.com. Also, if you're interested in joining this course for women, we have limited space remaining, but we do have a few spots left. So if you're interested, I will put the link to provide your email address and your name, and then we'll send you the information on how to sign up. Okay. So being in this world, but not of it. What does that mean? I'm going to read a quote from my Change Your Mind to Lack to Abundance workbook. This is from Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements book. The mind can talk and listen to itself. The mind is divided as your body is divided. Just as you can say, I have one hand and I can shake my other hand and feel the other hand. The mind can talk to itself. Part of the mind is speaking and the other part is listening. It is a big problem when 1,000 parts of your mind are all speaking at the same time. This is called mitote. The mitote can be compared to a huge marketplace where thousands of people are talking and bartering at the same time. Each one has different thoughts and feelings. Each one has a different point of view. The programming in the mind, all of those agreements we have made, are not necessarily compatible with each other. Every agreement is like a separate living being. It has its own personality and its own voice. These are conflicting agreements that go against other agreements, and on until it becomes a big war in the mind. The mitote is the reason humans hardly know what they want, how they want it, or when they want it. They don't agree with themselves because there are parts of the mind that want one thing and other parts that want exactly the opposite. And again, this is from the book, The Four Agreements, and this is going to be our emphasis in this course: sovereignty of self, how to thrive in times of uncertainty. We want to cultivate and create environments and levels of understanding so that we can be in this world and not be of it, right? So as the world gets louder, right? Perhaps things will get more chaotic and more crazy, but understanding that your internal focus and your internal awareness is what's actually creating your reality. We don't have to become victims of this broader, agenda, if you will. We don't have to go crazy as we watch the world going crazy, right? Our vision for ourself and our lives must be greater and more intentional than their vision for the world. And so I'm saying that, to contextualize the conversation, but eventually you have to get to a point where you kind of turn your back on their intentions or their visions of the world, right? So being in it but not being of it. Being mindful and aware, but also understanding that what you accept and what you believe to be true in your own personal world as well as in the broader world is what the universe is going to move heaven and earth in order to bring into reality and into fruition, right? So, what is your vision for yourself? Like Don Miguel Ruiz talked about, the mitote is the reason or the loudness, the noise of the world, right? The noises of our family, the noises of the expectations, the noises of the shortcomings, our failures, our mistakes, things that ways that we let ourselves down, or we may have self-sabotaged us in certain ways, right? So I was having a conversation recently with a friend of mine and just talking about, you guys always hear me talk about consciously creating your reality, right? Creating intentionally and consciously versus creating by default. We are always doing one of those two things. We're either creating intentionally or we're creating by default. Most people are creating by default. That's why we have high levels of anxiety and depression and, lack of self-awareness and all this pain and suffering and trauma that's happening in the world. But guess what? When the anxiety is kicking in, or the depression is kicking in, or all those internal struggling that we're doing, we're still creating reality. So anxiety creates prophecy. You know what I mean? Depression creates prophecy. So when you find yourself in those spaces, you have to have the internal awareness and the internal, resources, if you will, to be able to guide yourself out of that so that we can get back onto the course, which is our ultimate course, which is my primary focus, which will be the focus of this group and all of my work, is to help us to find our way back to peace of mind, back to the center and back to God, right? So your vision for yourself must be greater and more intentional than their vision for the world. Your vision for yourself must be greater and more intentional than your family and friends that might be looking at you and trying to project their willpower or force you to do things that they think are in your best interest. Your vision for yourself must be greater and more intentional than what you see everybody on social media doing for clout or for fame or for limited attention. So, being in this world but not of it, what does that mean? Walking in the light, like I tell my son. No matter where you go, no matter where you're at, no matter what you do, you still have to be able to walk into the light. What does that mean? Walking in love. Well, how do you walk in love with racism and police brutality and suffering and chaos? Do you love yourself? When we ask that question, that's when things, people kind of scatter into different directions, right? Because if you truly love yourself, then you're always going to be walking in love. Head high, chest out, right? Strong demeanor, strong uh, internal infrastructure and awareness, so that no matter where you are in the world, that you're still emanating light and resonating love, because that's how you attract light and that's how you attract love. The universe is no respecter of persons. You're not being singled out for suffering. You're not being singled out for because you're a single mother, or because your father wasn't in your life, or because whatever the story is that the world has told us and that we continue to tell ourselves. Whenever you feel out of whack internally, when you're struggling or when you're in a lack-based consciousness, which is what the majority of this world is operating from, that means that you're not in alignment with your inner being. That means that the self-ridicule or the judgment is out of alignment with the way that the creator sees you. It's out of alignment with your inner being, right? So our emotions are a gauging system, a compass, so to speak. This is why I always kind of frown when I hear people say, stop being so emotional. We're emotional beings. You're a mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional being. And I think a big part of this shift that's taking place, this paradigm shift that's taking place on our planet, it's really bringing to the surface how many people are not emotionally mature, emotionally intelligent, and emotionally aware, and operating from a vantage place of love, right? And just honing in on women, for instance, if you really truly loved yourself, there's no way that you would be able to commit to an abusive relationship. If you really truly loved yourself, there's no way that you would have created a family infrastructure that has turned you into a doormat, meaning that everybody in the family expects the woman or expects mom to sacrifice herself and to put it all on the line, so everybody can have Cheerios at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm being facetious. I'm making a joke, but I'm saying we live in a world that has shaped and molded women in the image of everything that is unhealthy and represent a lack of wellness for women. Hence the reason that the world is in the condition that it's in today, right? So we want to bring this back to the center. We don't want to continue to write prophecy and create prophecy out of anxiety and depression. I hear a lot of conversation about a new earth and a new world. Well, guess what? If it is to be, then that means that it's already being built now. The age of Aquarius is not here at our doorstep at this particular moment, but this world that we are living in, that we are constructing now in the minds and the hearts of the masses, is what is either going to create the new world or is going to continue to recycle and perpetuate the madness of the world that we're actually living in right now. So the universal law of cause and effect says that ignorance and bad health, this is me saying this, the law doesn't say this, this is my interpretation. Ignorance, bad health, trauma and dysfunction, operating in a low vibrational space consistently, lack of self-awareness, right? All of these things are a reflection of the universal cause of law and effect, the universal law, Freudian slip, of cause and effect, right? So if you're perpetuating ignorance and you're living in bad health and you're recycling the trauma and dysfunction of your past and you're operating in a low vibrational frequency and you lack self-awareness, then that means that there is a cause and effect that is coming. Right now, we don't operate in fear-based consciousness. So I don't say that because I want you to, curl up in the corner and start stressing about what ZaZa Ali said in her video talking about being in this world and not of it, right? Now is the time to start addressing and correcting those aspects of yourself. Now is the time to stop avoiding the mirror and look deep within the mirror. And not because we're in this space right now where God is kind of judging the world and everything is, coming to a halt or coming to an end, so to speak. Yeah, those things are true. But I'm seeking to talk to and to work with the people that are trying to build on the universal law of cause and effect from a space of righteous creation and love and high expectations and a love of self. Because a world that is created by people that love themselves look totally different than a world that has produced narcissists and psychopaths and mass murder and chaos. And I mean the chaos on social media right now just in itself is a litmus test, so to speak, of where we are within our internal self-awareness. So this is going to be one of the things that we're going to be focusing on, being in this world but not of it. If you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, what I would recommend is that you make sure that you're taking time every day to just sit with yourself and listen to the way that you think and listen to the way that you talk and listen to the way that you handle and treat yourself. Because that's what's actually going to create your tomorrow, and that's what's actually going to create your reality. ZaZaAli.com is my website, info@ZaZaAli.com, or ZaZa Ali for more information. Peace and love.